are going to discuss about dual nature of radiation matter. First of all, we know that radiation means that it's the light waves which travel from a large distances, and we know that it's generally in wave nature, and it is proved by double slit experiment, diffraction, and polarization. And it's generally we know that light is a wave nature, but light is also a particle, and it is proved by photoelectric effect in 1900, and also the matter is which in generally is particle in a shows wave nature property, and it is proved by Davidson and Germer experiment. And today we'll discuss about radiation of particle nature. First of all, let's discuss about photoelectric effect, which proves that the particle nature of light. And basically, photoelectric effect is in metal surfaces where the radiation of high frequency and low wavelength hits the wave, hits the metal surface, and due to the energy packets which are called photons, are hit on the metal surface, due to which the electron are emitted, and it's called electron emission. And all the free electrons absorb this energy and get emitted out from the surfaces. And there's uh, some resistance uh, which is controlling the electron from going out, is called work function, or which is denoted by phi naught work function. And generally, there's some when electron is emitted out, the negative charge of the body goes out. The negative charge of the body goes out, and the body becomes positive, which eventually attracts the electron towards the metal surface back, which attracts the electron back. So it needs some energy to escape this attraction force, and this energy is supplied by the light particles. That means photons or quantums, which are particle nature of light. And we can see that some metals like zinc, cadmium, magnesium are responding towards the UV light as they react to light of short wavelengths or high frequency. Cadmium, usually cesium has the lowest work function, which is 2.14 electron volts. 2.14 electron volts. All the alkali metals, the which are used in solar panels also, is uh, alkali metal, and these are photosensitive, which emit electrons by visible light. And if the frequency of the uh, light wave is less than the frequency threshold frequency, then the no electron will be emitted from the metal surface. And we'll discuss about threshold frequency in next class briefly, because this is an important topic, and Einstein theory also will be explained in the next class. Mhm. And every photon in the light wave, consists of energy h mu, which is frequency, and h is called Planck's constant. Planck's constant in joules per second is 6.62 into 10 power minus 34, and electron volts in electron volts it's 4.1 into 10 power minus 15. Now coming to the electron emission. Electron emission, as we discussed, when we consider a metal surface, there are some free electrons of negative charge in the metal. When these can't escape the metal surface, because when the negative charge is emitted out, the metal surface become positive element, and the attraction force between the free electron and the metal will be increased, so the electron will be absorbed towards the metal surface again. And as I already discussed, to overcome this attraction force, we need something called work function, which is the basic denoted by phi naught. And if this work function is supplied to the free electrons, then they can easily escape from the metal surface. Sometimes the energy will be greater than the work function, then the remaining energy will be converted into kinetic energy, and we will discuss this topic in brief in the next section. Now coming to the work function depends on the properties of metal and nature of its surface. Large amount of energy will be required for the electrons to emit out, so it depends on the nature of the metal. Then the emission will be done easily, and if it is rough, then the emission will be done improperly, and electrons will not be emitted properly. So the energy for for the electron to escape is given from three processes. One is thermionic emission and field emission, photoelectric emission. We already discussed about and the metal is heated. The electrons are excited and the energy is provided. The attraction forces between the electrons and the positive surface will be decreased as it is heated, and the electrons can easily escape from the metal surface. And coming to field emission, when the metal is placed in between a negative charged ion and positive charged ion, the electron which emitted out from the metal surface, free electron which is emitted out of the free surface, attracts towards the positive plate, and as of the electric field, and electrons are emitted easily and escape the attraction force, as the electric field is more than the attraction force between travel in the light, which are in straight line. The travel in straight line, as we can know that the photon travels with a traveling speed of 2.99 into 10 power 8 meters per second in vacuum, but we consider it 3 into 10 power 8 mostly, and they always travel in straight line. Energy of photons depend on the frequency but does not change due to change in medium. If we consider a photon which is traveling in a medium, if there is a change in medium, the frequency doesn't change, but the wavelength and the speed of the photon will be decreased or changed, because frequency is always dependent on the source. Frequency depends on source. Frequency always depends on source, and frequency is proportional to speed of the light, as you can see here. Frequency is equal to speed by wavelength. As you can see that in one medium the wavelength is more and the speed is less. As the medium change, the wavelength decreases and speed increases. So but frequency always remains constant. Frequency doesn't change upon changing medium. This is one of the most important property, and frequency is always dependent on source. Going to next slide. Photons are electrically neutral and doesn't affect by electric and magnetic field. As uh, photons are energy packets. Photons are energy packets and they doesn't affect due to electric and magnetic field, but they sometimes affect to gravitational field. As you can see in the case of black hole, the light wave which is passing through the black hole suddenly bends towards it due to the strong gravitational force, which is usually not mentioned anywhere, but you can assume that photon is affected by the gravitational force because it bends towards the black hole as it passing through it. And photons doesn't usually have a Newton mass, which is called rest mass of photon, which is usually zero, and it doesn't even exist in rest, as photon always keeps on moving, and the rest mass rest mass is equal to zero. So from Einstein theory we know that E equal to mc square equal to h into frequency of light. From this we can derive the equation of the mass of the photon, which is h mu by c square. As we know that E equal to h mu, and mu equal to c by lambda. We know value of the h and value of the c, which is usually denoted of 1,204 by lambda in nanometers into electron volts. This is the constant in which only we need the wavelength of the light, wavelength of the photon to calculate the energy of the one single packet of photon. Mm, coming to next. Photon have momentum at particular wavelength or frequency. As we know that momentum of a photon is a momentum of any particle is defined by its mass into speed. When a photon has a mass of m and speed c, the momentum is equal to mass into its speed, and it can be simplified as E by c. Momentum is equal to energy by speed of the particle, and as we know that E equal to hc, equal to hc by lambda. We know that momentum is equal to h by mu. Mm, Now I will give you a sum. consider a plane surface where the photon is on the uh, incident normally on the reflecting surface, and it is reflected back. Then what will be the change in the momentum? Change of momentum equal to P final minus P initial, which is equal to, as we know that momentum of a light particle is h by its wavelength minus of, as the direction is in opposite direction, we will write minus of minus by h by wavelength, which is equal to 2h by lambda, which is wavelength. And we can know intensity is an important topic in light wave. As you can, what's basically intensity means is that if there are a number of photons in space is more in particular area, if the number of photons existing is more, then we say that the intensity of the uh, source is more. See, in this example, we can see that in this area there are only 4 photons, and which means the intensity is less compared to the intensity of the uh, this source, where it consists of more number of photons in the same area. Now, how do we calculate the number of photons in in a particular area? Number of photons is defined by its uh, power by its energy, a particular energy. Number of photons is defined by power of the source. Power of source S by single energy packet, by the energy of one photon, which gives you the number of photons consisting. What is intensity is given by the intensity is given by power of the source, power of the source by area area power of the source. Let's consider a point source, a point source where its power is P, and it where the light waves are emitting in all directions. How do we calculate the intensity of this source, point source? Now let's consider an imaginary surface from the point source, which is at r distance, which is at r radius, and the intensity is equal to power of the source P watts, which is usually in watts, by area of the surface. uh, as we can see that this is a sphere in shape, and its area is 4 pi 4 pi r square. Its area will be 4 pi r square. So we can, the intensity is equal to 4 pi r square. And also that we know that energy is equal to we know that power power is equal to unit time energy per unit time, uh, which also can be written as power is equal to number of photons emitted by the source into energy as number of photons emitted per second. So power is equal to n into E, where we can know the number of photons, and E is equal to hc by lambda. By placing it, we get the value p lambda by hc, and in by placing this form in intensity, we get intensity equal to E into E by A into change in time, which is usually in watt per meter square. So let us consider a point source. Let us consider a point source which is uh, getting emitting a emitting photons per second n, and has the power p, is emitting to this section. What will be the intensity of this area? What will be the intensity? As we told, the area, we consider this area and not this the pipe's cross section area, but where the photons are incident normally, and we consider this area. So the intensity will be p by the area of the section. As we watch it from here, the area will be pi r square, which is normal cross section area. So we can write intensity is equal to power of the source by normal cross section area. So we know that how can we calculate the force exerted by light photon? We know that the force is usually expressed in terms of momentum, which is rate of change of momentum. We can write that force is equal to dp by dt, where dt is 1 by dt is usually represented by n, as we know that rate of change of time is gives the number of photons emitted from the source per second, and we can denote it from n and momentum. This is basic formula of force exerted by light photon. And from we know that uh, p equal to mc, and p equal to, therefore p will be equal to e by c, which is from previous point. So we replace p by e and number of photons with power of the source by energy of the photon by substituting it, and we get e will be cancelled and p by c is remained. Now let us consider a black body and a point source, and a source which has power p volts, and number of photons emitted by this particle will be n, which have energy e, are hitting the black body surface. Usually black body surface absorbs all the energy, So the force exerted by the uh, lights passing through this cross section area exerted on black body is absorbed by the black body. So overall the efficiency of the absorption is here 100%. 100%. What happens if some part of the energy is reflected? So what happens if the body is not perfectly black body, but a reflecting body also? So first, let us consider a reflecting body. When there is a reflecting body, as we know that when a particle is hit, it will not absorb anything, but just reflect it in backwards direction. So we know that force is equal to change of momentum, change of momentum by change of time. So what will be the change in momentum in this case in a perfectly reflecting body? In from source to the reflecting body, the momentum will be p by c power by c, and in this case the momentum will be equal to mc, and in backwards direction it will be mc but in opposite direction. So the change in momentum will be 2mc with e by c, energy of the photon by acceleration speed of the photon. When this hit and the change 1 by change in time can be denoted by n and 2 e by c, and n is equal we know that n equal to p by e, so the answer will be f equal to 2p by c. What happens if the body is absorbing as well as reflecting? uh, what happens if the body is partly absorbing and partly reflecting? So we know that if let us consider A as absorption coefficient and R as reflecting coefficient. So A denotes the efficiency of which the absorption is taking place, and R denotes the number quantity which is reflected. So as absorption means it is considered partially a black body, as some part of the light wave is absorbed completely. So the force by absorbing part is F by F A into F, which means F of absorption. So the quantity of force which is absorbed by the body is A into power of the source by speed of the light. So similarly, in case of reflecting, the force of where the quantity of force which is reflected by the body will be part of the ratio of which is part light wave which is reflected into force of reflecting part, so which will be r into 2p by c. So this will be the total force. So we know that absorption coefficient plus radiation coefficient is equal to 1. Absorption coefficient and radiation coefficient is equal to 1. So we can write a is equal to 1 minus r. A is equal to 1 minus r. So substitute in this equation, and we will get P into 1 minus R by C plus 2P R by C, which will be equal to P by C into 1 plus R. This will be uh, for the this will be the equation for the force, which will be partially absorbing and as well as reflecting. Now coming to the next topic, and it is called photon flux. As we know that flux means the intensity of the source, the number of photons incident on the surface per second per unit area, the number of photons incident on the surface by per second per unit area. This is the photon flux, the equation. And we know that n equal to P by E, power of the source by energy of the light photon, and we can write that P by A is equal to intensity of the source, and which we denote it by I. So photon flux will be intensity of the source by energy of photon, and we can write energy of photon as h into speed of the light by wavelength, and which will be I lambda by hc. So now let's radiation pressure. We know that pressure is usually denoted by F is equal to P by dA. Normally this is the general equation where we use integration for various shapes like cone, cylinder, where the light radiation is incident on one surface, where we can't calculate the radiation pressure or the force exerted by the light wave, where we use this kind of equation. And uh, for usual shapes, we know that pressure is equal to force by area, right? And we know that force we can and force can be denoted as power by c, which is speed of the light, and which means power is equal to intensity of light wave, intensity of source into area of cross section, which is normal area of cross section. This is the power of the source, and then force exerted will be equal to ia by c. Therefore substituting this part in F by A, we get radiation pressure equal to I by C. This is for black body, which means that it's purely absorbing, right? What happens if it is a reflecting reflecting body reflecting body? As we can know that for reflecting body, the force is equal to 2p by c, which means means the pressure will be equal to 2I by C, as force is equal to 2P by C. C. What happens if the body has A and R, which means that it's partially absorbing and partially reflecting? How do we calculate them? As you can see, we know that the force of the partially absorbing and reflecting body is the power of the source into absorption coefficient by C plus 2PR by C. So we know that force exerted by that is equal to P by C into 1 plus R. So we can substitute this in terms of intensity, which means I into A. Can write intensity of source by area of normal cross section by C into 1 plus R. 1 plus R. Okay, and substituting this in F by A, we'll get I by C equal to 1 plus reflecting part, reflecting coefficient. This will be the radiating pressure, radiation pressure. This will be the radiation pressure. Now we'll do a example for force exerted on a cone. Force exerted on a cone. Let us consider that there is a cone. The cone which is black body, which means it's absorbing. Black body, which means it's absorbing all the energy incident on the surface. So light waves are hitting. Light waves are hitting this. So what will be the force exerted? What will be the force exerted on the cone? Right? How do we calculate it? So let us consider that a small cross section from the cone, which has the area of dA. So what will be the force exerted on this small cross section? So the force exerted on this small cross section will be equal to dF, and dF is equal to pressure into area, the area of the cross section. So how do we calculate? So we know that we need to integrate this part. So how do if we need to check if there's any component which is dependent on area in the pressure, radiating pressure. As we discussed, radiating pressure is equal to intensity by speed of the light, intensity of the source by speed of the light. So we know that P is equal to intensity of source by speed of the light, in which there's no dependent component of area, as source intensity depends on the number of photons in particular area, so it's not dependent on area. So how do we need to integrate this part? So there are no terms of area, so only we integrate this part to calculate the force. We know that the integration of area of cone on the normal direction will be equal to the projection, will be equal to the projection of the, will be equal to the projection of the cone, projection of the cone on the normal surface. What will be the area of the projection in the normal surface? As we can see from this point, ఇక్కడ నుంచి చూస్తే మనకి ఆ cone, this cone will be projected as a circle with same radius, with its base radius r. So the integrating part will be equal to pi r square, right? So the force exerted on the cone will be equal to intensity of light by c into its area, pi r square, pi r square. So this will be the force, this will be the force, this will be the force exerted on the cone when there's a source of p and intensity of I, and radius of the cone, base radius of the cone as r. So now let's consider another problem on the concept of number of photons with a particular power source. So let us consider a bulb of power P. This is equal to 100 watts. It will be equal to 100 watts, and its wavelength emitted from the source is equal to some 540 nanometers. So we need to calculate number of photons emitted from this source, number of photons. Number of photons we need to calculate, and we know the power and wavelength of the light emitted. As I already told you, the number of photons emitted will be is equal to power of the source by energy of single photon. This will be the power of the source by single photon by energy of single photon, which will be equal to, as we know that power is given as 100 watts, and energy can be written as hc into c by lambda, and we know that lambda is equal to 540, and we know that lambda equal to 540 nanometer, which is equal to 10 power minus 9, right? So 10 power minus 9 meters. So the number of photons will be equal to power by lambda into hc. So we know that power is equal to 100 into lambda equal to 540 into 10 power minus 9 meters, and we know that h is equal to 6.6, which we can write approximately 6 into 10 power minus 34 into light of speed is actually 2.29, but we can write it as 3 into 10 power 8. So uh, 6 and 3 will be cancelled out from 54 three times, and as we consider 10 power 4 10 powers, it will be equal to 3 into 10 power, as here we is 9 minus 34 plus 8, so goes up and becomes plus 34 minus 8, and as it is 100, it will be plus 2, so minus 9 plus 34 minus 8 plus 2, it will be equal to 9, it will be equal to 3 into 10 power 20. So this is the number of photons, and I'm repeating it again. Number of photons is equal to power of the source by energy of the source. Energy can be equal to hc by lambda, which is wavelength. Okay. Mm, so these are the some model examples and concept on basic topic and properties of photons. So in the next section we'll discuss about the properties of photoelectric effect, where we discuss about how it is dependent on intensity and how it varies for different wavelengths and frequencies, and some photoelectric effect studies which are proposed by Einstein Newton, where the kinetic energy of the electron will be equal to the energy supplied by work function of the compound, and we'll discuss about this in brief, and we'll discuss about the minimum wavelength and maximum frequency concepts, which means that threshold frequency and threshold wavelength. Okay.